Parks are the natural expansion of a well-delivered city. Because when we go there, we recognize the majesty of the nature around us.
These are the gathering spaces, the places where people experience each other, the spaces where children can get out and actually move.
Just the simple presence of green space can improve the quality of your health.
Parks have an incredible power to catalyze major change in economic development in a city. You can help transform what the city used to be into something quite different.
If I can live very close to where I work and shop very close to that area, and I can travel there by foot, by rail, by bike, that is a sustainable community.
We've got this empty land, we've got a dead retail center. We're trying to figure out how to turn that into something that's a lot more beneficial to the surrounding community and to the future.
Now is a really great time to go and buy up some of these cheap properties, essentially, and convert them with this kind of project at this time.
Atlanta is one of the 10 largest cities in the United States. It has hosted the Olympic Games and is home to the world headquarters of multinational corporations such as Coca-Cola, Home Depot, and UPS. From humble beginnings as a river settlement, Atlanta grew around the nexus of multiple railroads and flourished to become the economic and cultural capital of the Southeast.
Before World War II, Atlanta grew like a lot of older cities because primarily there wasn't a whole lot of mobility. So people had to live near where they worked, they had to shop near where they lived.
Areas that are now just covered with urban sprawl were wide open spaces where people used to take their kids, they'd go hunting, they'd go fishing.
In the 1950s, things really started to change in Atlanta, and the credit is usually given to one of our mayors, Hartsfield, who set up the airport. The building of it was the making of Atlanta.
Hartsfield International Airport brought new residents and some of the biggest companies in the world. However, it was the car and ubiquitous highway dollars that created the Atlanta on today's map.
Atlanta really spurted up and sprawled out because of our access to highway dollars and people's ability to buy cars.
So they'd build a subdivision that had 950 houses that were basically the same. You know, it's the Levittown type of a mentality. And the reason they did that is because it was cost efficient.
The abundance of easily developed farmlands kept prices low, and the confluence of 3 major interstates allowed for rapid outward expansion from the urban core.
I took a plate and poured syrup on it. The syrup, of course, just spread all over this hot plate, and that's how Atlanta grew. There was nothing in the way.
The driver of that was mobility. People could put together a great lifestyle in Atlanta, but they had to put, 20, 30,000 miles a year on their cars in order to accomplish it.
What many communities, not only in Atlanta but around the country, have experienced is a compartmentalization of how they plan their communities. Here's where you live, here's where you work, here's where you recreate, and so forth.
The thing that they often left out in that equation, though, was green space. The idea was that you would either drive to a park or your backyard was your park.
Almost all of the green space in Atlanta is essentially privately owned. It's people's backyards. So we have a lot of green, but not much green space.
That simply isn't the best way to create a livable community, and it's not the most sustainable way either.
40 years of rapid growth in Atlanta had unexpected consequences. As the value of real estate was constantly rising, more and more subdivisions, strip malls, and office parks filled the available land. Eventually, the land was overdeveloped, and many commercial buildings were becoming obsolete. As the economy began to contract, the city found itself with an abundance of underutilized commercial development. And then,
We have more bank failures in terms of sheer number than any other state in the country. A lot of those focused around Atlanta and tied to the boom in commercial real estate and in housing.
In the heyday, everyone in town who had a bank was getting into the development game. And when the bubble burst, banks were left, to the extent that they're still around, with tremendous amount of really bad loans.
And that's left a lot of sites in abandonment or disrepair from what we've seen. And it'll depress property values all around. And the spillovers of these things are often quite large, where the sort of footprint of these blighted sites goes for miles, sometimes over a mile, upwards of 6 miles for big Superfund style sites.
We're at the 1996 Centennial Olympic Tennis Stadium, which was a huge activity center in summer of '96, and there wasn't really a plan for what to do with it after the Olympics.
It's bad news for everyone. If you've got a strip mall that's underwater, there's no tax revenue coming in, and it's spiraled downward because as properties that are surrounding the strip mall are diminished in value, tax revenues are decreasing.
There's the saying, retail follows rooftops. So after the home comes in, all the retail comes in. And so when everything's expanding and growing, that's okay. But all of a sudden we've had this major contraction in the economy. Now that's not such a great model anymore. We just don't need all that retail space anymore. And the communities don't need it. So what do we do with those assets?
What Atlanta needs is more connectability in regards to their green spaces and their park spaces where you don't have to get in a car.
The objective is to create a more efficient lifestyle where you don't need a car to thrive, whether you're a person, a family, a business, or a community.
The idea of utilizing space for park space that will then spur development opportunities is a very exciting catalytic change for us that we see opportunities with, and I think would hold a whole lot of interest for communities nationwide as well.
Redfields to Greenfields has identified many potential park sites in the Atlanta region, and most fall under two specific models. The first is the Greenway model, which consists of pocket and medium-sized parks connected by a series of trails, paths, and greenways, with an emphasis on pedestrian traffic and local commerce. Two current examples are the Beltline project and the Peachtree Creek Greenway, both of which add hundreds of acres of parks through dozens of neighborhoods. The second model is the site-specific destination park. These sites, hundreds of acres in size, are no longer serving their industrial or commercial purpose. Once converted, they will become destination parks and anchor future development for a large surrounding area.
It's a multifaceted cleanup program, essentially. You're creating parks, you are taking bad real estate off of the inventory, so to speak, creating jobs, and you're ultimately increasing the tax base because the development that will occur in the future on the unparked property will be higher value, higher density, and situated such that additional transit options could be created.
Parks in most cities provide a lot of services other than just they're nice to look at. They can serve a wide variety of purposes that all have huge economic benefits, some of which businesses can directly profit from, and some of which, being nearby and owning property nearby, you can capture. But a lot of them are more diffuse to the community more broadly.
Developments that have first planned the parks, the open space, and then developed retail houses around those open space and parks have been more successful and are lasting the longest.
Atlanta would probably be able to quadruple the number of public facilities, parks that it currently has.
Taking a piece of property that's non-performing now, turning it into an asset, that's going to attract investment. Then I think we're going to be much better set up for economic recovery.
We're starting to understand, I think, what the unique value of public green space is and how it contributes in a special way to people's quality of life within a community. It gives them the opportunity to meet each other. It gives them a destination to go to. It gives them really a special experience that you can't experience within the private realm.
This particular type of forethought and collaboration between design, investment, and park maintenance leads to that kind of conversation and to a better conclusion.
The things that keep us from seeing what we used to enjoy and value are 20th century additions. They are a nanosecond in the time that these creeks have run through here. If we can get rid of them and return to enjoying what we neglected or forgot or just left behind, we'll all be better off.
Mission of Red Fields to Green Fields is to solve a problem today that solves a problem for the future. And that is not only the gluttony of space that we can help arrest and turn around through this wonderful opportunity we have right now to redirect land and land holdings, but also to say this is a stand we're taking for better and more livable cities. I'm glad to be a part of it.